All right, good morning, cyber traders. Welcome on back to wrap up our week here this Friday, February 17th, shortly after 9 a.m. Eastern Time. I hope I said morning meeting, by the way. I always do the afternoon meeting. It's like built habitually within me to say afternoon. I hope I said morning there. But good morning to everybody nonetheless. Great to see all of us live inside our trading room here. Ravina, who actually clocked in on a nice trade on DraftKings just now. So congrats to Ravina just before. But Brad, Brian, Phil, Ray, Michael, and all of us just here otherwise. Great to see you all. And great to have all of us back just here tagging in for Fausto once again for all of us on YouTube, Facebook Live, Twitter, LinkedIn, etc. He'll be back on Tuesday. Now, keep in mind, folks, just a couple of housekeeping notes to begin for all of us collectively. First and foremost, coming up next week on Monday, beginning with our welcome party, actually, we have our CTU on-site hosted in Jacksonville, Florida. So I certainly look forward to meeting a bunch of our students for the first time and a few of us for, the second or even third time there. But great to see all of us just coming up next week. But with that on top, we're doing our welcome party on Monday. We're giving everyone just a little extra time to get down there to Jacksonville because, well, on top of that, well, it's President's Day, right? Or Washington's birthday, to be exact. Monday, the markets are closed on February 20th. So everyone knows stock market is closed this upcoming Monday on the 20th. All right. So it's going to close same time today, not early. I don't know if anyone thinks early, but 4 o'clock today, folks. We're going to close up normal. Shop closes up normal early today, and then we'll be back on Tuesday at least for next week. All right. But without further ado, let's hop right into it here. DraftKings coming off of good earnings early this morning. So I wanted to talk about that. We'll bring up level 4 for this trade in just a moment. So DraftKings news, I mean, they were kind of like one of those Super Bowl stocks that Fausto was talking about from a week or two ago, right? Just, some of these casino gaming companies, especially these sports booking companies that like DraftKings or Caesars, Penn National Gaming with Barstool. DraftKings in particular, they had good earnings. Their sales beat the estimate. Their EPS beat the estimate, although it was negative either way. Their EPS beat the estimate. And I think they reported also a 31% year-over-year increase in monthly unique players. So there you go. On top of that, like I just said, the Super Bowl we just came off of. So, you're going to see some numbers coming off of that as well. So nice pop on DraftKings, a good reaction so far. Let me bring up level 4, though, for right now. Bookmap. I'll zoom in on this. I was kind of scrunching it out there for a bit. All right, so in the after hours, this ended up popping from 4 o'clock onwards. So looks like there was a bunch of volume, mainly filled around 19 in the after hours yesterday. Not too much of a surprise, just given that being a whole number level. But 19 should be a pretty strong level for the open if it ends up pulling back. Otherwise, the high off of 1930 there. And then going into the pre-market this morning, ooh, look at that. That just came in hot. We ended up seeing a big resistance off of $20 and also 20.05. 20.05, about a 14,000 share order out there on the ask. So certainly that's going to be a resistance for the meantime here. If it can crack above that, I would assume just to figure your 50-cent levels and whole numbers. Checking my other chart here, seeing if there's any other levels I drew otherwise outside of those. Really not. Really not. In terms of support, I have a monthly close level right around 1947 that we could plot as a potential historical level, but I'm not super confident in that right out the gate. But it's something that I'll keep an eye on to see if it can develop. 1947 for a nice higher low and then build back up. It does match up pretty nicely, actually, with those set highs before. All right, so DraftKings. I'm going to put this on our list just to begin. I had this on the screen to start, right? Now, I'd go from top to bottom, but with that in mind, though, I want to go over a couple stocks from yesterday that we ended up doing pretty well on as well. SPRC. It's down 7% now, but it popped from mid-morning after 10 o'clock, finally broke out there, and then ended up trending up really from that point all throughout the morning into the afternoon, grinding on up higher into the close. So that was a pretty good move there. Ended up topping off roughly around that 325 price. But heading into the open this morning, I thought there was some interest in it early. I didn't put it on our main pre-market list because by 8 o'clock it was kind of spotty, but I woke up pretty early this morning, mind you. So I saw it kind of creeping up here. I was like, well, maybe this can make another run back up. At this point now, certainly doesn't look it, down over 7%. I mean, it ended up making not just the run here yesterday, but it ran the day before on Wednesday too when we had first called it out. So, day over day runs, you got to expect to see this begin to pull back. All right, so I'm not going to be as keen to put this on our main list, but nice trade from yesterday, though. Short yesterday that could be on our morning watch list this morning, perhaps as a long, hopefully. SI, Silvergate, ended up seeing them make a day-over-day run from Tuesday into Wednesday, and then yesterday, whoop, right back down. I mean, that was kind of in lieu of the market there a bit, but, between SI and a couple other crypto stocks, SI in particular, though, I think there's some, news out with them, and I think there's a big to do out there with them, and I think Binance crypto exchange. So I'm going to look more into that myself, so I can at least speak more on the subject. But led to a huge drop off yesterday, wiping out all of the gains from the day before. Now at this point, though, it is up over 5% going into the open. I did mark out my chart for this one too, so if I could relay you a couple of levels on this one. I would look for support right around 1766, 1770, 1766 here. That was a big CVP level from Bookmap this morning. And then otherwise, if this keeps popping up and up and up and up and up and up, like real, strong level from yesterday to keep an eye on, right off of basically 2050, 2047, just under 2050 right there. There was a big selling level right off that price. And then once it broke under it just earlier into the afternoon yesterday, ended up crashing. So I'm going to keep an eye on those two major price levels for today. There's going to be more to it than that, but those are two in particular I'll be watching. So SI, you know what? I'm going to take this along the DraftKings trade. I'm going to put this on our main list. All right. Now, really quick, just a couple things coming in the chat board right now. So I should have started off with this out the gate. So my apologies for Walter and Jeannie. So welcome aboard to any of our new trial members joining us here at CTU inside our live trading room. We're coming off a couple of events this week, right? So if you're joining us even coming off of yesterday's webinar with Fausto, I would suggest just right out the gate for you to get in touch with our office, with your education advisor. They're basically the middleman or middlewoman between you and Fausto, and well, you and myself, as he's just prepping up for our on-site class in Florida. There's our office phone number right there. Just if you haven't already booked a time yet at least, perhaps it's today with them. They'll be able to answer any questions for you there. But really quick to answer those questions that just came in from Walter and then Jeannie. So Walter asking here, what do you think about DoorDash, I believe that is, earnings that came out yesterday? We'll take a look. I mean, if we find it on the top of the gainers list coming up here in just a moment, we'll definitely review it, look at it. If it's a more expensive stock, though, odds are we're not going to be as inclined to try and follow it. Probably just better opportunities in terms of just bang for your buck. If you want to play the options on that, that's more cost effective. That could be in play, but otherwise, though, just we'll see what's out there coming up in a moment. And then from Jeannie asking, are these Fibonacci levels? No. So, we tend to follow the big money here at Cyber Trading University on top of anything. So that being level 3, the program that you see on the far right side of my screen right here in blue and red, as well as level 4. Level 4 is the heat map that you may have seen from Fausto in his webinar, as well as myself just a moment ago right here. Now, as a trial member, you have access to recorded workshops that we've done week to week, including just coming up next week. If you're with us then on Tuesday, we'll be doing that live. So, a lot of education just with the trial membership, though. Just make sure that you talk to your education advisor from our office. All right. There we go. So with that, let's just kind of be efficient with time here, folks. Current time is 9:09 right now. Let's just start from the top, work our way down, because just because the stock is on the pre-market watch list or coming up, just because the stock will be on the morning watch list does not mean that we are going to be trading it definitively. We are looking to be trading it. But for a stock like IBIO, I'm sure that there's some news that came out on this thing, right? Like that's why it's up over 100% this morning. But that doesn't mean it's going to continue moving up. We tend to see some runners really continue, but if we don't happen to see it, we need to just make sure that we get out of these trades before they go the other way. So certainly as a trial member, I would not suggest for anyone to trade our call outs just yet, just to kind of sit back and relax, just to kind of see the possibility of all this, and following the chat board, of course, too. Kind of just following the students, myself, Fausto when he comes back on Tuesday, and just seeing kind of how it's all done. Now, with IBIO, news out on this. IBIO shares trading higher after the company announced, I guess, a drug as its latest immune oncology target program. Okay. So a bit of a headline that came out early. Nice reaction right out the gate from the after hours yesterday. Cheapy stock ended up popping from 80 cents up to nearly 2. I guess it peaked above there a couple times early this morning. Right now, though, it's really flat. So going into the open, I'm going to put this on our list, but I mean, the others are a lot better looking so far. The SI on the way up, DraftKings trending up well, right? So we really want to see momentum going upward again in order for us to think it's going to make another run. Without that, then we're just going to pass, right? You don't want to catch a falling knife either. So, if it ends up pulling back and you're hoping for support, okay. But, if you end up just jumping in as it's tanking and then it keeps tanking, that's just poor risk management. That's not what we're doing. So, that's where you need to be careful. But it's a really liquid trade, penny spread here in pre-market, pretty big pretty big orders out there on the book. So, if it ends up making a move, I'll be a big fan. You can say the same on SPRC. We had called this out as soon as this thing popped. As soon as it was 8 o'clock, 8:01, I was like hawking Benzinga, and I ended up seeing this thing just make the leap. Called it out, and from that point, really, there was no pullback. There was like really no pullback once that ended up breaking out at first. Ran all the way up to nearly 150 and then decided to pull back. I was looking for support to build off of like 110, maybe 115, but ended up building it off of like maybe 127 there, 126, and ended up moving back up and still pretty strong. Now, Mark brought this up earlier, so I'm going to bring this up on my other screen here. So SPRC, you got to be careful on this stock. I mean, you could just tell looking at the daily chart, looking at how much or how little volume the stock trades day to day. Just a couple 100,000 shares at that. Well, the stock's on a 3.3 million share float. That's like super tiny. And it's already trading 13.5 million shares. That's like 4 times over. So, again, be careful on this. If it's not going to make that big move that you're looking for going up, I guarantee you on this stock, I'll bet everything on it, it's going to make a big move going the other way. So you don't want to be a part of that, right? You don't want to be on the top of the roller coaster going down. So SPRC, I'll put on our list too. A little reluctant just with, how much volume it's already trading comparative to its float. All right, let's see what else we got though. Otherwise, NOGN, not really doing a whole lot there. GMBL, there we go. Maybe kind of moving in sympathy with DraftKings, or maybe it's news of its own, but it's like, it's not a real penny stock, but I'm just going to nickname it one. We're not going to trade this really. Now, Pixie had a pop early here. I didn't notice it, but then going into the morning meeting before 9 o'clock, I'd called this out. I look at the daily chart. I'm like, there's no way this stock is $7. No way in hell. This thing has been $1 stock or like below $1 for as long as I've been employed with Fausto. Now, that's some sarcasm to it, but it's been really $1 or below for a long time, and it had to have had a split. So I'm gonna guess like 1 for 10 split or something on Pixie. I'm just gonna look up on Benzinga Pro right now. That may have been old news too. That split may have been from maybe like a couple weeks ago. Who knows? All right, well, got some news on it at least, like non-split news. I'll take it. Pixie reporting or announcing of mobile food ordering apps that elevate customer engagement with cutting-edge technology. That sounds like a sponsorship for this thing. I guess there's some headline out. I'll take it, but this stock definitely has not been 7, 10, 12, 14, whatever dollars. There had to have been a split there in between. And it trades super thin volume too day to day. So that's where you got to be careful. Let me just check the float on this one while we're at it. If we're scared about the SPRC float, then we should be a little scared about the Pixie float there. It's just over 1 million shares. So, it hasn't hit that point yet, and still it could trade well over it, but this is a pop and drop type of stock. You don't want to get caught in this. So, I'd say even for any of our students here, if you're more of like a level 1 or 2 or even level 3 trader, there's going to be more liquid opportunities going into the open. So, I'm going to put this on our list again, but probably at the very tail end. I like the other ones even more. Yeah, EOS, this one's not looking bad. Nice trend. I had this on the pre-market list here. It's kind of stagnant going into the 8 o'clock move, and it's still kind of stagnant. It's taking its time, but nice trend. Hopefully it becomes a faster move, but I like it. I'll put this on our list and probably near the top. All right, let's keep going here, folks. I got to make good use of time for right now. INZY was one from yesterday morning in pre-market. Popped up early, dumped off right away after the open, or very quickly after the open. So, thankfully it's actually recovered pretty nicely since then. I didn't put this on the pre-market watch list at first because I didn't think it was liquid enough, but and it took a while too, like 8:30 and after it popped. But now it's becoming a little bit more liquid here in the order book. Spreads tightening up somewhat. So I'll add this here as well. INZY. DraftKings we already have on our list, so kind of leap over that right now, but looking good. And I think that pretty much just about does it here, folks. Not much else that we hadn't talked about yet. Here's SI. Oh, there we go. For Walter here, Dash. So, it's not as if we analyze the news as much here, Walter, in terms of the earnings, or if they ended up raising guidance, or, what the EPS was versus the estimates. I will mention at least the news. It looks like they reported better than expected Q4, and they also announced a $750 million buyback program. That part I actually am a fan of. So, that is pretty bullish for this trade. It's up over 5 or near 5.5%. Check the daily chart for us here. There's definitely no big volume on this trade right now going into the open. There may not be afterwards either, just because it seems like a pretty thin stock altogether. But it took a huge hit back from the end of 21 into basically all throughout last year. So there's definitely some good recovery room. So if the stars could align, and if this can continue to build higher lows, blast back over 71, there's a good chance for a more momentum-based run, something like worth your time. But, I'm not going to be as inclined to, put a more expensive stock on our list, I guess. That's all. There we go. Appreciate that, Barb. I'm just catching your chat right now. Private chat from Barb, one of our longtime students here. I appreciate her insight always. And she just wrote to me September. On September of last year for Pixie, they did that 1-for-100 split, Barb. Wow. Really 1-for-100? And that was in September, mind you. So it goes to show how much more they dropped off since, right? That's pretty crazy, Barb. Appreciate the heads up on that for the Pixie trade. All right, so for right now, though, let's just see what else we got. I mean, not much else looking as good on the gainer side. I'd said that. So let's see what's on the losers list right now. Got this XP down big within our price range. I would assume earnings. I'm not going to check the news at this point, but relatively liquid. I don't mind giving it a shot as a short. There's not much like big volume filled on this trade, though. If there is one price I could likely kind of like hint to, it seems to be right off of 1370. Just big volume filled, likely from consolidation there, but well, not just consolidation. I'm also seeing from time and sales a couple of block prints filled off of 90 and 70 there. So I'd say mainly that 1370 price for XP, that could be a potential resistance for a short later on. I'll put this on our list, give it a fair shake. All right, so that's just about going to be it here, I think. Not much else that really looks too appetizing at this point, folks, from the loser side, and that's A-OK for me. For all of us on YouTube and for all of us on Facebook Live, LinkedIn, Twitter, I appreciate your participation as always. Let me know if there's anything else that's moving pretty well here, folks. Anything else that I'm missing? It's a Friday also, so we don't want to force anything out there, but DraftKings over 20. We'll take a look at that. So I appreciate the call out again on DraftKings from Andrea and Grant. Yeah, it's a big pop. There we go. It looked like it was building a flag at first, a beautiful looking Fausto flag. We talked about this in the phase 1 stock course earlier this week. With that in mind, how about this little segue while I'm at it? Perfect timing, Josh. Appreciate that. Thank you. We have nice phase 2 stock course coming up later on today. The phase 2 stock course we're continuing and concluding later on today, coming up with the morning class at 10:35 Eastern time. So Rich just posted the link for that in the chat board. You don't need to click it now, but if you want to get in there early, just make sure that you're good. We got plenty of trading before class begins, but hey, we're just talking about class, so we're continuing the phase 2 class later on this morning, and we'll repost that link just later on. So this looking pretty good. Once it ended up failing to break that top, pulled back, but then reemerged and made the blast above resistance. So pretty good move now on DraftKings. I like it. From Chuck and Michael talking about the natural gas ETFs, unless if they're moving extremely well. boils down big. It is down, trending down well, right? I mean, if you have Bookmap and if you are pretty good with trading an ETF, then it's something for you to consider. But there's definitely better options for you to follow just heading into the open with what we already have on our list. I'd focus with what we have on our list at this point. All right, so folks, we're going to wrap up right now. I want to make sure that all of our students and myself have enough time to prep up, get ready for the market open. We should have already been plotting our levels, lining ourselves up, for the last 30 minutes, the last hour. I took the time to line up a couple of these trades, as I had mentioned prior, like SI and the DraftKings trade in particular. I think I'll keep it that. I don't know if I'll line up any more, but that'll keep me occupied at first, just heading into the open. For all of us on social media, hey, be a friend, tell a friend. Just make sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/cybertradingu. If you're interested in joining our live trading room, just go right down to the link on the green banner below the stream right there to get yourself set up. Any questions prior to joining us? I always like to post my email here at the end, josh@ctutrading.com. All right, folks. But hey, otherwise, if you're not going to join us for the afternoon or at least inside our live trading room, enjoy the long weekend. Again, the markets are closed coming up on Monday, February 20th. Happy birthday, George Washington, right? Get the nice 3-day weekend there. So for all of us inside the live trading room, I look forward to talking to you folks, though, coming up just at the opening bell. Take care.